Hi everyone, Michele Sizemore here. I'm a Creative Memories advisor, and today you'll learn how to make this layout using the Zig Zag border tool and the custom cutting system. I also used a circle with the blue blade with the custom cutting system. I used the Chasing the Sun border punch, and I used the 12-inch trimmer with a straight blade. This is the 12-inch trimmer, and I also used the Scallop Blade. Okay, and I want to say the decorative elements are from the Making a Splash collection. This part is from the Chasing the Sun collection, and then I added some orange cardstock. Okay, I'm going to set this aside so we can get started. The first thing I want to do is show you how to make these borders. And I love that striped paper. It's such a fun paper. So I'm going to grab the striped paper. Everything I need is in here in this Power Project sleeve. I'm going to take everything out. We're going to start out with this striped paper. And I'm going to cut my zigzag borders. I think I have a scrap of that paper in here. Yeah, and I've already cut, I've actually already cut two sides with that, but so that I can show you guys how to do it, I'm going to start over. So we'll get a straight edge to start with. Got the straight blade in here. I'll actually save that to use it for something later. Okay, so I have a good straight edge here. So I'm going to grab this, the border tool. I love these new border tools. We have two different sets of them, and you can cut lots of borders. I'm going to grab my 12-inch custom cutting system mat and the red blade that goes with the custom cutting system. Now I have to look at my notes here to make sure I cut this right. I'm going to line this up with the far right edge, and I'm going to match all these bold lines just to make sure I'm straight. Okay. This border tool has so many features of places where you can do your measurements. I often use the inside edge of this. My kids went to University of Tennessee, and University of Tennessee is in my hometown, so to me this looks like a power tee, the top part of a power tee for University of Tennessee, so I'm going to call it a power tee. This would be the outside edge of the power tee, and this would be the inside edge of that part that comes down. Now I'm going to use this inside edge that protrudes down as my sight line for measuring for this. And I'm going to double check one more time. The inside edge needs to line up at the 1-inch mark on my mat. And I'm using the electric blue custom cutting system mat. We also have this in gray. So I'm going to line it up. Let me grab something to help show this. So the inside edge of what I call the top of my power tee, right there, is lined up at that 1-inch mark on my mat. And the paper is lined all the way up with the top and the right bold lines. I'm going to use the red blade, and I'm going to cut along the zigzag edge and get my border. So that's a zigzag border. I'm going to do the same thing over here. The inside edge of my power tee, the part that comes down, is at the 1-inch mark. My paper is lined up with the boldest line at the top and all the way down the side. Just to repeat that. And I'm going to go all the way down with my red blade. So now I have my two border strips. That was super easy. Now, I'm going to need 2 skinny orange pieces of cardstock. Those are going to go underneath this white. So I don't have to be exact on my measurements, but I'm going to cut them both at about 3/4 of an inch. Oh, I'm going to do that on my trimmer. So I'm going to go to about 3/4. Well, let me get a good clean edge on that first. That's kind of shaggy. Now I'm going to go to 3/4 of an inch right here and line it up all along that grid line. Make sure it's straight at the top, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch for my 2 outside borders. Okay. Now I want to cut my 2 pieces of white with the scallop blade. So I'm going to grab my white cardstock and my scallop blade. I'm going to flip this open just by pushing up on that little piece that sticks down. Take my blade out, put this in curvy side down with the logo facing the left. I think that's correct about it. If I have to change it, I'll just show you the difference of what it does if you face it left and right. The scallop blade is, I believe, the only blade that matters which way the logo faces, because you can get 2 different looks. I put that at about 3/4 of an inch. Whenever I just want a skinny border that's tucked up underneath something, I always cut it at about 3/4 of an inch, usually. Okay, and I actually did that wrong. I needed to do my logo facing right, but let me just show you what I'm talking about. I wanted this to be my piece that I use. So this looks like waves that dip, which is a cool look. Like if I wanted to do water, I could do that, but I really wanted this look. So what I'm going to do, since I already cut that, now I'm going to change my blade to the straight blade and cut at 3/4 of an inch, and I'll get the look that I was going for. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to cut another one, and I'm going to do it correct this time. I'm going to face my scallop blade logo to the right, and then it will come out looking like a 3/4 inch border with a scallop side. Line it up at 3/4 of an inch about. Hold it straight and cut. Now I have the look that I was going for. Okay, but I ended up with the same thing. Just took a different route to get there. Okay, so these are going to be here. I'm going to set these things aside to get them out of my way. And I am only going to use the top part of this. So I'm going to put the straight blade back in here. And I'm going to line this up so that this center piece, which is where I want to cut, lines up with the left-hand side dotted line on my mat strip right here. I kind of need to flip my mat. It's getting a little bit worn. Let's see if I have a good edge. I don't really have a great edge, so I really should do a new strip, but I don't have one handy, so I'm going to make this work because this one's still okay. It's just starting to fade. And then I'm going to put this back in. This is how the mat strip fits in. And while I'm at it, let me just explain this. So these mat strips come with the trimmer. You get one with it, and you get 2 sides with dotted lines on them. And as you can tell, I have used this a whole lot, and my lines are starting to fade, and that's what happens after a lot of use. So once your left-hand side dotted line starts to fade, you just flip it, and then you have a new left-hand side dotted line to use. And then when that wears out, you flip it again, and then you flip it again. So you get 4 flips out of it. You're going to get a lot of cuts out of it, but I have used this trimmer a ton. And in fact, this is the mat strip from my old trimmer that I moved over to the new trimmer. So it is time to get a new one. But I'm going to make do with this one because this is what I have right now. And it's okay. It's not bad. It's just starting to fade. And then it fits down in here. You want to fit it down and make it fit at the top, and then slowly push your way down. And then just press it down until it feels like it's all the way in there. Okay? So that's just a little lesson about the mat strip. So now I'm going to place this so that this line matches up with this left-hand side dotted line right here. I think I need to come over just a little bit. And then I'm going to do something else. I'm going to look at it with this. There's this little clear, let me hold it up. A little clear piece that tucks up underneath at the top and the bottom. And if you pull it out, it has a black line in it. And I'm going to look at that black line all the way down. It looks to me like it lines up perfectly right there where I want to cut. So I'm going to tuck that back up underneath, and then I'm going to cut there. And it did almost perfect. I see a little bit of that green at the bottom, so I'm going to give it, I'm just going to cut off another sliver. It's almost so little that you can barely see it. Now it looks perfect to me. Okay, and then I'm also going to look at this. I think I may have cut some off the sides. I did. Let me see. Yep. I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch off of each side. I'm going to grab a pencil. I'm going to draw my lines the size that I want it. And I can tell that's about 1/4 of an inch on each side. I'm going to line that up with the dotted line on the left, on that little mat strip again. Now this pencil line is on the bottom, and I'm going to line it up at the bottom left-hand side dotted line. Okay, so now that looks just right. So I've done those cuts, and I need to cut a piece of ruled paper. Let's see what size I cut that to. Four inches horizontal by 2 3/4 vertical is what I need. So I'm going to take that piece of ruled paper. I love this ruled paper. Okay, it needs to be 4 inches wide. So I'm going to line it up with the 4 inches mark right here on the left. Make sure it's straight at the top and cut. Then I'm going to flip it to the left one way and line it up at 2 3/4. Make sure it's, I'm looking right here at 2 3/4. Make sure it's straight on that line and cut, and that should be exactly what I need. It is. Okay, so I have those pieces, and then I need to cut an orange mat that is going to go behind my journal box and my journal card, or my decorative card I should say. It's going to be 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I'm going to take my orange cardstock, line it up at 6. I'm sorry, I'm just moving it because I can see that yellow poking out, but it's not going to be on my piece that I cut. I'm going to line it up at 6 1/4 right here on that line. Make sure it's straight at the top. Close it, and then I'm going to flip it one way to the left and line it up at 4 1/4. Make sure it follows the grid line and it's straight at the top. Okay, so this is what's going to go behind my journal box and my mat, my decorative mat I should say. It comes in the variety mat pack. Okay, so those are my cuts. I think that's all my cuts. So let's grab 2 pieces or 2 pages. I'm going to use white pages that go in our Creative Memories books. I love our pages because they lay flat in our books, and they're just the best pages. They are truly the best pages on the market. I promise. I believe they are the absolute best, and that's one of the reasons why I started with Creative Memories in the beginning in 1996, years and years ago. So now I'm going to lay this pretty paper on here, and I'm going to put some repositionable tape runner on the back of this. it's time for me to open a new one. These are my and I just don't have a case handy, so I'm just going to open a brand new one. So I am going to put some repositionable tape runner all along the edges in little dabs all the way around, and a few rows of 3 or 4 on the back. And then I'm going to line this up. I just want to make sure you see that our pages have these reinforced edges, which help them to be so sturdy. And I'm going to line my paper up to that edge. Now, if you are a person that loves using top loading pages, Creative Memories also has top loading pages that fit in our books. You could just scrapbook on this piece of paper and put it in our top loading pages. Whichever you like the best. And I'm just trying to make sure that there's no white that shows at the top, and there is just a little. I'm going to do it on top of this so I can see it a little better. My table's white, so it was kind of hard to see that. Line it up with the edge. Make sure you don't see any white at the top or bottom. And I'm very happy with that, and I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm doing the same thing as I did before on that other page. And I'm going to line it up so that I hope not to see any white at the top or bottom. I see a little on the bottom, so I'm going to move it down just a little bit. Press it down all over and make it stick, and press this one, just rub it. Okay, that's perfect. Now I'm going to make my borders to look like these borders. So I'm going to lay my orange down first on the very outside edge, putting some little dabs of repositionable tape runner all the way down. And I want to line this up all the way to the edge of the jeeping so that it covers up the left-hand side of that aqua paper. And I'm going to do the same thing over here to the right-hand side. Line it up to the edge of the jeeping so that it covers the aqua paper. Okay, now I have my 2 Zig Zag. I love this paper. I have my 2 Zig Zag borders and my 2 scallop borders. What I want to do now is put some repositionable tape runner on the back of one edge of this paper, and I want this to peek out past the straight edge of this, and I'm going to do the same thing on this other one. And I want about the same amount to show on, oops, I need the scallop edge facing out on both. Just a little bit sneaking out past the edge. I need to come down a little bit on this one because there's some white sticking out down here. I can clean that up with my scissors, and I will. Okay, so this, I'm going to clean it up, just snip off a little bit of that white, just a little bit of a snip. Now I'm going to put my repositionable tape runner in little dabs all the way down and mount this so that that scallop edge is over the orange edge, just showing a little bit of that orange, and the bright orange just makes that scallop edge pop off the page, which I really like. And I'm going to do the same here. I need to snip this a little bit to clean it up, make it even. And I'm going to do the same thing where some of that scallop edge is covering the orange and just a little bit of that orange shows all the way down. Now I love these fun colors, and again, this came from Making a Splash collection, and this is just orange cardstock. Now I'm going to make my journal box, which I've already cut. I'm going to mount this white. I might have to move this a little bit and play around with it, but I'm going to start like that and add this. I'm going to come up just a little bit taller here. I'll erase this pencil line. Yeah, I need to bring this in just a little bit. I love working with repositionable tape runner because you can change your mind and move things around a little bit. I'm going to move this up. Now I see that I got a little off on my measurements. I want these to be exactly the same. So I'm just going to barely mount this on here. I'm gonna rub that off, and I'm going to put this in my trimmer and clean it up so that they match. My blade is going to come down on that left hand side dotted line, so it's just going to cut a sliver of that off, and now they match, and that's exactly what I wanted. I just got a little bit off when I did it, and then I'm going to measure it here. You know what, I want a little bit more of the orange to show on the side, so I'm going to cut a hair off of the side again of both the ruled paper and the variety mat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with this right hand side dotted line. It's going to cut on the left hand side dotted line, so if I line it up on the right hand side dotted line, it is literally going to cut off like a tiny little sliver, which is what I want, and I think it will be perfect. It is, because I want this mat to be just a little whiter than the mats I put on my pictures. I like more of that orange showing. Okay, so we're going to center that up, and I love it. Well, let's see. Don't love it yet. I will in a minute. Okay, that's close enough. And I would take my black Creative Memories pen. Let me see if I have one handy. I don't have it handy, but I would just take a black Creative Memories pen, or you could use another color if you like, and use the fine tip to write here. Now I want to show you how to make this cute little sun using the Sunlit Border Punch. Here's the Sunlit Border Punch, and there's a cool folding technique that makes this work. And you'll learn how to use the score blade. So I'm going to take my regular blade, straight blade out, and I'm going to look for my score blade underneath. I think it's this one. It's upside down. Yes. This says scoring. So I'm going to place the scoring blade in here. It just goes curvy side down. It doesn't matter which way the logo faces. And I'm going to line this up at the 1.5 inch mark right here. Make sure it's straight at the top and straight all the way down. And I want to score this. You have to play with this a little bit, so I would encourage you to play with the scoring tool on some scrap paper before you start using a whole sheet of paper, just to get the feel of it. So you want to give it a gentle push, but not a super hard push. You have to push down on this to engage your blade. Let me show you. So your blades are like actually hidden so that you won't cut yourself when you're just handling the blades. But when you put it in here and you close this little piece right here, it's like a little indented piece under here. When you press down, it presses down on the blade to engage the blade. So if I'm on cardstock, I'm pressing pretty firm. But if I am trying to score and not cut through the paper, and I just want enough of a little bit of an indent on my paper to be able to fold it, I'm going to press lightly and give it a few runs on there. And I can see that score line, and I can fold it, so that's good. Now, I want to fold it like this, so the yellow is on the outside of both edges. I want to put a few dabs of this repositionable tape runner, and this is the Sunlit Border Punch. The thing about this Sunlit Border Punch is if you just use it as a regular punch without folding, it's going to cut half of what we're doing. But because I folded it at the 1.5 inch mark, it's going to give me a full sun on my border strip. So I'm going to start out at this black line right here, matching the edge of my paper with the black line, and my folded side is all the way to the edge here of this Sunlit Border Punch. And I'm going to punch that. And I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to twist it so you can see it. And I'm going to match what I just punched out with this blue design here so that it completely covers the blue. And when it does, then I know it's time to do my next cut. But it is very important to make sure this is completely lined up with the edge, and you hold it very firmly so it doesn't slip on you. Because if it slips, it will mess it up. Okay, and I'm going to move my scraps out of the way. And I'm going to continue doing that so that I get a 12-inch border, so you can see how to get a 12-inch border. Get those scraps out of there so they won't get stuck up in there. And I'm going to match my design up again and punch. So now this is what it looks like, and this is what it would look like if I didn't do the fold. But I'm going to open up the fold. I just put a little bit of tape runner there so it would stick together, but not like be completely stuck together. And it was repositionable tape runner, so it's not going to stick too far. Okay, so if you wanted to make a 12-inch border, I'm trying to find, let's just use this side. That would be a beautiful border, and you could put like orange behind it or some bright fun color. But I think orange behind it looks good because it makes your suns pop. And I am going to do another video showing this technique and making a complete border. But really, I just want one of these little suns because this is what I'm trying to do. Now, my orange, in order to fit behind this and completely go behind all the little rays, I've already measured it, and I know that I need this middle-sized circle with my custom cutting system and the blue blade that cuts on the inside. This template shows me that, so I measured it, I looked at it, I moved it around, and that's how I knew, yep, I want to cut the size of that blue blade right there. So, and also, if you have different circle sizes in punches, you might find that you have a circle punch that's the right size. Our circle punch was too big, so or it's just the wrong size. I don't remember if it was too big or too small. I think it was a little too big. So I'm going to flip that over and put it in. Well, actually, I don't believe we have a circle punch now. We did, and I use it all the time, but I think we sold out of that. So now I'm going to grab, this is my silicone mat, so I don't want to cut on this one. This is just the one I use my tape runner with. I'm going to grab my custom cutting system mat, and we have this in this electric blue, and we also have it in gray. And I'm going to cut the inside on the inside track with my blue blade. So these two little notches fit in the track. They both have to fit in there. Hold firm with my left hand and go all the way around. I'm gonna go around again just to make sure I didn't miss any. So there we go. That should be the perfect size to put behind my little sun, and it is. So I'm going to put a generous amount of tape runner back here. I want to make sure I get it around all those little sun rays and around the middle so that this sticks really well. And I want to make sure when I stick this down, I don't see any of those little sun rays from that particular sun sticking out, and I don't. And I'm going to rub it and make it stick. And look, it is perfect. Now I'm going to also, I'm going to grab something real quick. And of course I don't see it, so it's okay. I'm going to take my fingernail and rub where the fold is, where I'd fold it so I could cut it. If I rub it with my fingernail, then you really can't really see the fold. And I'm just doing it around this. And I'm also rubbing it to get rid of the excess adhesive. You know what? I'm going to go on a different sun because it looks like what those sun rays didn't do right on the right. Let's start over. So I'm going to, not completely start over, but I'm going to put my tape runner on the back here. I should have had my silicone mat behind it because I don't like getting adhesive on this, but I'll just rub it off. This repositionable adhesive does just rub off, but I try to get as little on here as possible because, I mean, if you get a lot on here, it's a lot to rub off. So let's get this back. Okay, so now I'm going to put my circle there, press down really well, and yeah, that's better. My little rays of sun look like they're spaced correctly. I don't know what happened. I think it was the way I folded it or something. Rub all that excess repositionable off. Look how cute that is. So if you had an orange paper behind all of this, they would all be orange, but I just want this one for now. I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm just going to freehand make a circle, just cut around the outside edge of these rays of sun. I think is the easiest way to do it because it's got to go in between the other rays of sun on the other little suns. So you just need to look at it, and it might not be a complete perfect circle, but it'll still be super cute. And if you didn't want to do this, you could put a sun sticker or something else there. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna, I see that I got a little bit wonky, so I'm gonna try to clean that up. Okay, so that's how you can get a full circle from that sunlit border punch by using the folding technique. Okay, so here we go. I've got my 2-page layout. Get stuff out of the way. I'm going to put my little sunshine up here. I'm going to put my little journal box down here. And I still got it a little crooked, but I'm not going to worry about it. And then all I need to do is add my journaling here and add my photos. So I did these a little bit staggered to make them look fun, kind of tilted them a little. These photos at the top are 4x4. These photos at the bottom are 4x6. And the beige part is just the pretend photo. And then I cut a white mat because I really feel like it needs a white mat behind it to make it just pop off this page, and then it ties in the white over here and it just lightens it up because this aqua is a little bit of a darker background. So I would cut my mats 1/4 of an inch bigger than my photos. So let me just do that as an example. If I had a 4x6 photo, I need to open up. Now here we go. These are my pretend photos, and you can actually order these from Creative Memories so that you can just play around with your scrapbook layouts. Get that adhesive off of there. So that would be my photo, and to cut my mat, I'm going to find a piece of white cardstock scrap to use. I store all my cardstock in these Power Project folders. The bigger pieces are in here, and then all my smaller pieces fit in here. The strips fit in here. I've got this one pretty full, and then I just labeled it at the top. So all my cardstock scraps are stored this way, and then I put them on my cube shelves. Okay, so to get my mat for a 4x6 photo, I'm going to cut, well, I need to switch my blade, get that score blade out of there, get my straight blade in there. It just goes curvy side down, and close it. I'm going to line this up at 4 1/4 because it's going to be 1/4 of an inch wider on both sides. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it one way to the left, line it up at 6 1/4 and cut. And then it's going to be the perfect size to mat behind my photo. Now those are both white, so it's kind of hard to see. That's why on here I made the photos look beige. So that is your 2-page layout, and then I would just put my my real photos on there, and I would put my page protectors on and put them in my Creative Memories album. And because of the way our pages have this jeeping, this white edge, and these staples, in our strap hinge binding in our books, it enables the pages to lay flat so it looks just like this. I 100% believe our albums are the best one on the market. I always have, and that is what I will always use personally. But I know a lot of you use other albums, and that's fine. If you wanted to do this layout, I would suggest you do it just on the paper and not on the page, and then you could put your page in a top loading sleeve, and then you could put another page behind it. On this, I would actually do another scrapbook page on the other side. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.